first to get me to meet with the new with you, since this is first time in the States. Also to talk with you to explore maybe there are other opportunities, maybe there are things you would like to talk with him as well. So in summary, that's why we're here.
He's been working here in Cross River State for a couple of years, but I joined the project more recently as the chief of party, the project director, and now trying to just get more personally familiar with our activities, with the situation in the state, to see, is there more that we could do? Are there different things we could do? And the initiatives we're already working on, to just check in, see how they're getting along, whether there's anything we could do to try to move things forward a little more quickly in the places where we have a shared interest. I don't know how familiar you are with the activity, but we work across 7 different states with a headline objective of trying to accelerate investment into the agriculture space, and we do that through policy regulatory engagement. I know that here in Cross River State we've been talking about the Agric policy, for example. Professor Susan's here to talk about that. I think more recently there was some conversation as well about the digitalization of MSMEs registrations, which is something we've done elsewhere with success. It's something that helps for them to access loan funding and so on. So there are a range of different areas on that level, as well as at the federal level, obviously, where we work as well. And then we also work with financial institutions, investors, and agribusiness to try to help ease connections to debt finance or to encourage investment into agriculture opportunities. And obviously there's multiple conversations here in Cross River. A lot of it comes to soy and maize. We've had a long-running sort of set of discussions, shall we say, with Dantata in particular. They've been very motivated for a long time to try to bring an integrated farming model to Cross River State, and I know that that's been going for a while. It's moving, but a little slow. I know they were hoping to launch that for this growing season. I think we're now getting to the point where it's a little late on that. But if there are things we could do to help that initiative and others to move forward, we're always here to assist. As an activity, we're set up to give technical support, technical assistance. We can't offer grant funds or collateral guarantees or risk buy-downs or anything like that. But where there is value in technical assistance, technical support, we're very happy to do what we can to help. So that's I suppose maybe a good place to start, because you're the Commissioner for Agric, is to talk about where we sit right now with the review of the Cross River State Ag policy. I don't know the history of it. I know that this was something that started a little while back. It was sitting for a little while, and Professor Susan has now agreed to work together with ourselves and the state to pick up where we can to move that initiative forwards again. I know that there's some documentary review that would have to take place with yourselves, and she's ready to assist on that, and no doubt also some additional stakeholder dialogues or public engagement. I'm not I don't have the full process clear in my mind, but perhaps this is a good moment, Professor, to ask you to say a little about your work here in the state.
Industrial policy, and the Cross River State Agric policy document has been an ongoing process for a long while now. The draft document that we have bears 2018 to 2022. The first time this CNFA came into Calabar, that was the very first time most stakeholders were hearing about the draft document that existed. So they have decided to take the process on so that we can now have Cross River State in agricultural policy. So an international consultant was actually engaged, Bill Scott, who came in, and then the COVID stopped the process. So recently I was engaged as a local consultant to assist that process. What I now have is the draft policy that was initially drafted by a team. I can see Professor Angba, Shiam and company, and then the work AP something review that was done by Bill Scott.
Yeah.
So the next phase of it is to match the two documents, identify the gaps, and then do more stakeholder engagements and present a proper draft policy to the commissioner, and then to take it on to the next stages, just as the industrial policy has been done. So that's where we are. The assignment is actually starting this week. By 5th of August, I'm supposed to submit an inception report to the activity, and then we move from there. So I think this is an opportunity to introduce this process to you, that we will need to work more closely with your ministry, because the policy document is the state's document, is what the state will implement. So if we don't work closely with your ministry and the stakeholders here, we may not be able to put up something that is representative of the state. That's why they thought I should come with them to be introduced to you. Thank you.
When we came to launch the activity, and when we settled the issues of Rifan, internal squabbles of Rifan farmers here, and the extended building there where the generator is. As Dominic has said, and Susan has followed up with the Agric policy, Cross River State Agric policy has been in the burner for long. And yeah, maybe COVID delayed certain things, and this will provide an opportunity perhaps to give it a further radical review, but we need to move fast. So we thought it expedient to come along with her as a consultant we engage, to introduce her to your honorable ministry, to just offer her all the necessary assistance she requires to expedite the action of reviewing that policy and making it into a working document that we should all be proud of. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mr. Dominic, you said chief of party to my office. I think I had an opportunity of working with Mr. Adam Sefa, and we have been a very good friend and a very hard-working person. I must confess. I believe if Mr. Adam Sefa was still here, but not for fragilities of COVID-19, the issue of agric policy for Cross River State would have been a conclusive activities now. The document would have been put into use. But he traveled during COVID-19, before the COVID-19 period, and was caught up by the pandemic in the US. So in pushing up the issue of running up the policy, was very difficult, was delayed. I have been in constant touch with Mr. James, who is in Abuja. We've been talking almost every month. Even when we had an agreement, we resolved to kind of engage a local consultant to be able to bridge the gap, to kind of marry from where Adam Sefa left, and the document that was done by both the state consultant here. He sent me a document, he sent me a memo from Abuja to enable me give my go-ahead, give my consent for the engagement of a consultant, which I did, and to my office, even though you have come a bit late, because I expected that immediately you were engaged, and you reported in the state, the first place you should have visited to see was the Ministry of Agriculture. Okay. Correct you a little by saying that you are introducing the agri policy to us.
No.
So almost about a year plus now, and we hope, just like Mr. Dominic have said, it's a high time we see what we can do to facilitate efforts to get that document, the review completed, and then do an inaugural launch of documents to certify it to become a full-fledged policy of Cross River State government, as it has to do with agricultural development and agro-business. So I want to thank you for coming. We're working here with their team here in Cross River State. Mr. Dennis have been very useful, very hardworking. At times he follows me up to my house. Like last weekend, he let you know so that we can work together. Number one challenge I have now is just having we won't allow this to become an hindrance to us moving forward. We'll do our best to see how that we deliver on our mandates. Thank you very much and you're welcome. Thank you. Then following your activities up so that in the event that you cannot reach me immediately, you can reach a director. Dennis is here so that you can work as a team to facilitate these processes. Thank you very much.
For enthusiasm, I'm grateful that we're able to move this forward now. Dennis, are there any other issues on the agribusiness side that you want to raise?
Maybe just to seek support for some of our investors coming in as well. Dantata deal, Premier Feed deal, even though it's not still defined. Dantata two aspects, the maize, and then also the fish. So maybe he's been in constant discussions with them in Abuja. So if there are any updates you think you should know, maybe.
Oh, I see. Yeah. Sure. Dantata was specific. So yeah, Dantata had this. They wanted to move to an integrated farming model to try to roll that out across the country. I know that they were paying a lot of attention specifically to an opportunity to work here in Cross River State. I think the government allocated some land for that purpose, and Dantata are working through the details of how to raise the input loan financing to then bring that into operation. But it's an exciting model. You know, they have I guess two different pieces to it. One piece is to move along a more traditional route, as has been seen by others. Another is to try to bring in these ideas of regenerative farming and organic fertilizers. And I think, you know, there's a fantastic opportunity in there. If Cross River State were able to be the first state where that took place, I think that would be a feather in your cap, so to speak, because it's new to the country, and it would be a really interesting thing, especially depending on how discussions go at COP27, the climate discussions in Glasgow. I know that agriculture is one of the themes that will be under discussion there, and so maybe these questions of regenerative agriculture and organic fertilizer and so on may get a higher billing than they would have done before. So yeah, I would encourage to the extent that we can, if we can move that or help to move that deal forward. I know from our side we're committed to it. We meet with them regularly to stay informed and updated on what's happening from their side, and grateful if from your side you do the same. I know these things take time to put together, but it's an exciting deal, so we'll be glad to see it happen. That's the update.
Hey, sir.
Good morning.
Please, for the purpose of this interview, may we know your name and the organization you represent, sir?
Of course. My name is Dominic Graham. I'm the Chief of Party, which is the Project Director for the USAID Feed the Future Nigeria Agribusiness Investment Activity.
Okay, sir. What is actually the main thrust of your visit to the ministry?
Sure. Well, the activity works across 7 states in Nigeria to promote investment into the agriculture sector, to improve the enabling environment, to encourage growth of agribusiness, and to ultimately improve availability and affordability of food and strengthen food security in the country. We work in Cross River State for the last couple of years at the policy regulatory level and also with financial institutions and agribusinesses to try to grow agriculture in the state. And I'm here for the first time today to meet with the Honourable Commissioner of Agriculture to talk a little about the work that we've done in the past and to share some thoughts and hear his reflections on best steps for the future as well.
Okay, so talking about the policy regulation, we've heard from the Commissioner and from the local consultant that the document is still in process.
Right.
What do you have an input to make there, or it's just specifically for the consultant?
Yeah, you know, the Cross River State government launched an initiative of renewing their agriculture policy position some time ago, and the activity was very keen on the idea, very enthusiastically supported that. We brought in an international consultant to help put together the policy documents. Unfortunately, the COVID-19 pandemic forced him back out, and there was an interruption in work for some period of time. A little additional work was done by others, but it really didn't move that far. Today we were talking about our shared interest in trying to move that process now forwards to conclusion. We introduced the Commissioner today to Professor Susan, who would be helping to bring together all of the documents that have been done so far. And the next steps that we agreed are to establish where the gaps might be in the current policy documents, and also to initiate some stakeholder dialogues to check that the new policy that's formulated is bringing that confidence to the sector that we all want to see, so that investors will be encouraged and motivated to come to Cross River State.
Okay, talking about gaps, we realize that most persons here are actually local farmers. How do you intend to actually bridge the gaps in order to accommodate the local farmers, taking into cognizance that they need to be major beneficiaries of this policy?
Absolutely. You know, smallholder farmers make up the vast majority of farmers in Cross River State, including women and youth, as the Honourable Commissioner mentioned as well. In fact, that was one of the policy gaps identified, was that women and youth were not very well represented within the current policy document, so that will be a focus of ours as we take into the next steps. The real challenges are around scale and how can very small farmers connect up with those bigger investment streams, with the bigger market opportunities that exist out in the country. And there are a number of initiatives out there trying to tie either smallholder farmers together in groups, or to connect them up with larger aggregators, input suppliers, marketing organizations, and so on. And I agree that we do want to make sure that the policy environment supports those kinds of directions of travel, so that smallholder farmers of whatever scale can connect up to the opportunities that exist.
All right. Thank you so very much.
No trouble.